Okay everyone, today is September 13th, 2024. This is the series where I go over to r/games to keep you and me updated on everything going on in the world of video games. Let's see what we got today. I've been busy the last couple days applying for jobs and getting ready for the new school quarter, so I didn't actually realize that I missed 2 days of videos, so I am very behind. I apologize for that. There's probably going to be a lot to catch up on today, so let's get to it. The very first thing I see: Palworld faces the difficult choice of whether to become a live service game or stay buy to play, Pocket Pair CEO says. This is an article coming from Automaton Media, written by Amber V. Since its viral early access launch in January this year, Palworld has kept evolving through various changes and additions, the biggest of which have been the Sakurajima update and the introduction of a highly chaotic and entertaining PvP arena. But Palworld still has more growth ahead of it, and the direction which Pocket Pair decides to steer its growth will be vital for the game's future. The developer's CEO Takura Mizobi spoke on the topic in an interview recently published by ASCII Japan. When asked about future development plans for Palworld, Mizobi comments, "To be honest, things aren't decided yet. While there's no question about Pocket Pair continuing to build upon the game's content with new maps, pals, and raid bosses, the developers will need to make a crucial decision between two business models, according to the CEO. Namely, Pocket Pair must choose whether to complete Palworld as a buy-to-play game or change it into a live service game. When you think about it from a business perspective, making Palworld a live service game would extend its lifespan and make it more stable in terms of profitability. However, the game was not initially designed with that approach in mind. So there would be many challenges involving in taking it down the live service path," Mizobi notes. One of these challenges is making Palworld free to play, which is a prerequisite for switching to live service business model. It's not a prerequisite. There's some games that have done the purchase to play and then there's still a service model to it as well, but that's tricky. That's really tricky. It is common for live service games to be free to play with paid elements such as skins and battle passes, but Palworld is a buy-to-play game, so it's difficult to turn it into a live service game from the ground up. Okay, yeah, Palworld is still in early access. The game is expected to remain in early access until at least 2025, according to Wikipedia, so we don't necessarily know when the full release is going to be. The game is expected to remain in early... This is cited from an article from Jamatsu. I'm not really sure where it says that in this article. I'm not finding it. So we don't really know when the full release of the game is going to be. However, I would say if they are pondering this question, they're probably looking forward towards the release of the game. It would make sense to me that it's about a year away, 2025, maybe 2026. As someone who plays Pokemon but has never played Palworld, I do kind of hope they stick with the buy-to-play model, and then they have purchasable releases, not necessarily full expansion packs, but just like digital updates that are purchasable. But it is true, if your game is a success, there's a lot of money in live service models, so we'll have to see which way they go. Okay, what's next? The new Flappy Bird game has a hidden secret, crypto. This article comes from videogamer.com. It's written by Amar Chowdhury. Flappy Bird has just been revived after 10 long years. The original developer, Dom Nguyen, had taken the original down from official stores due to the game's virality and addictive nature. After allowing the initial trademark to expire, the Flappy Bird Foundation picked it up, hoping to turn it into a totally different experience, this time with an emphasis on blockchain. Let me give this a read, and I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I'll give you a little summary. All right, I'm going to give you the simplified version of this as best as I can. Basically, as stated already, the copyright was not renewed, so the Flappy Bird Foundation picked it up, spearheaded by game designer Michael Roberts. On Michael Roberts' Twitter, there's a lot of tweets about crypto, Dogecoin, Bitcoin, Elon Musk. There was an investigation that went to the new Flappy Bird website and kind of dug deep, finding this page that was really hard to find, that used a lot of crypto verbiage, like revamping the game's ecosystem, stating that the legendary Flappy Bird is back and will fly higher than ever on Solana as it soars into Web 3. Flappy Bird will now be the world's first open source community-owned Web 2 and Web 3 game. Build, create, play, and stake to own. They also talk about free airdrops if you sign up for the newsletter with Crypto Enthusiast, one of the personalized options available. Yes, enthusiast, not enthusiast. And you can actually see that down here. The third option is Crypto Enthusiast. This was kind of hidden away on their website. It was not easy to find. And the fact that the person sort of spearheading the whole project is a crypto enthusiast himself, or maybe a crypto enthusiast, who knows. It's yet to be seen how this is all going to play out, but there's already a lot of controversy about trying to monetize Flappy Bird's gameplay anyway. We'll have to keep an eye out on this story. All right, next up, Black Myth Wukong was the #1 most downloaded game on the Japan, US, and EU PlayStation Store for August. This is just a post on Twitter, it seems, from Genki JPN. Just another indication of how popular Black Myth Wukong has been. Okay, all right, I did hear about this before, so I'm glad it's one of the top news stories, so I can talk about it. Annapurna video game team resigns, leaving partners scrambling. With all the layoffs and everything going on, I'm wondering how this plays into all of those other stories. This comes from Bloomberg, written by Jason Schreier. The entire staff of Annapurna Interactive, the video game publishing division of Megan Ellison's Annapurna Studios, so it's just the publishing division, resigned this month following a dispute with its owner. Annapurna Interactive president Nathan Gary and his team had been negotiating with Ellison, the daughter of billionaire Larry Ellison, to spin off the video game division as an independent entity. When Ellison pulled out of the negotiations, Gary and other executives resigned and were followed by around 24 other staffers. Oh, so even the exec team resigned. It wasn't just the floor workers. All 25 members of the Annapurna Interactive team collectively resigned, Gary and the group said in a joint statement. This was one of the hardest decisions we have ever had to make, and we did not take this action lightly. A spokesperson for Annapurna confirmed that it had explored a spin-off and said the parties failed to reach an agreement, which led to the resignations. Our top priority is continuing to support our developer and publishing partners during this transition, Ellison said in a statement to Bloomberg News. We're committed to not only our existing slate of games, but also expanding our presence in the interactive space as we continue to look for opportunities to take a more integrated approach to linear and interactive storytelling across film and TV, gaming, and theater. Let me read the rest of this and I'll give you a summary. Okay, not many more specifics. They talk a little bit more about how, because this is the publishing division, their development partners are the ones that are kind of like, hey, what does this mean for us? What does this mean for our projects? Who are our point of contacts? Who should we be reaching out to for all the support that we expect to have? And the only other piece of news really is that a original co-founder, Hector Sanchez, is now back as president of the company. And he states that all existing contracts will be honored. I don't believe there is much else for me to say about this. I do believe I heard a while ago that they were looking to go independent and remove themselves from the rest of the company. Perhaps in the future we'll hear more about why Ellison just removed herself from the conversation and just gave up on all negotiations, but my guess is she was like, meh, I think I'd rather just have the money the company brings in and not let you go independent. But that's just my assumption. Obviously, I don't have any. Okay, we're gonna scroll on down here. Xbox Game Pass standard tier doesn't include Call of Duty, Modern Warfare 3, Starfield, Diablo 4, and more. Oh no. Oh no. This article comes from IGN, written by Ryan Dinsdale. Xbox Game Pass Standard, the new basic tier of Microsoft subscription service, which costs $14.99 a month, does include major games such as Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, Starfield, Diablo 4, and much more. Microsoft announced its revised Game Pass tiers in July, and as of September 12th, the changes went into place. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate has risen from $16.99 to $19.99 a month and still includes all the typical benefits, but the Xbox Game Pass Standard tier is quite different from its predecessor. It replaces Game Pass for console, though those already subscribed don't have to upgrade it, and include significantly less benefits. Subscribers no longer gain access to day one titles or access to EA Play, Xbox Cloud Gaming, perks, quests, and discounts on games in the Game Pass library. Microsoft said players would also be denied access to specific entries to the Game Pass Ultimate library, and that list has now been revealed to be fairly extensive. What is the frickin' point? $15 a month is a lot of money. So here's all the games that are not included in the standard Xbox Game Pass. I mean, there's some other pretty big names here, like Forza Motorsport. Yeah, there's Diablo 4, MLB The Show, Octopath Traveler, Payday 3, Star Trucker. Oh yeah, Age of Mythology is not on there. And players subscribing to Game Pass Standard therefore have access to 370 games instead of 508, according to Xbox website. The remaining 96 titles belong to the EA Play library, which is not included in Xbox Game Pass Standard. Players looking to access this additional library of heavy hitters will need to pay $19.99 a month for Ultimate instead of $14.99 a month for Standard. Wow, this is a big change. I don't have Game Pass myself. I don't have the money for that. But as far as I remember, having Game Pass, no matter what level you had access to all the games. So this is a huge change to go from limiting games based on what tier of service you're paying for. Oh man, it's an interesting precedent to set, but when you're kind of the biggest live service game model, you can make these decisions. You can decide what to do with your service because you're kind of the top dog in all of this. You can really do whatever you want because you're really the most popular game service that exists. Okay. Let's move on to the next thing here. All right, a little bit more news here about Annapurna Interactive. Remedy Communications Director Remedy's deal for Control 2, including Alan Wake and Control AV rights, is with Annapurna Pictures, and we are self-publishing Control 2. So this is the TV and movie deal, I believe. Annapurna controls the movie and TV deals for Control and Alan Wake. But Remedy is self-publishing Control 2, the video game. Here's the full post here on Thomas Puha's Twitter. All right, next up, today apparently is the first day of the International for Dota 2. It is starting today, September 13th. Opening ceremony is at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, so that means it's already happened for sure. I'm going to have to turn on the broadcast and see how the International is going. All right, next up here, Unity is canceling the runtime fee. Is Unity the engine where all the new monetizing changes happen and everybody got super upset? This comes from Unity.com, written by Matt Bromberg, the president and CEO of Unity. After deep consultation with our community, customers, and partners, we've made the decision to cancel the runtime fee for our game customers effective immediately. Non-gaming industry customers are not impacted by this modification. We got a comment here from C9 Lemon Party. As a dev who's worked on multiple Unity games since the changes in 2022, I am 100% convinced this is because developers refused to update beyond Unity 2022 to avoid these fees, and it finally impacted their games. Let me figure out what this runtime fee was. Okay, so this is an article from The Verge, written by Ash Parrish back in 2023, actually almost exactly a year ago, September 2nd, 2023. We are introducing a Unity runtime fee that is based upon each time a qualifying game is downloaded by an end user, the company shared on its blog. We chose this because each time a game is downloaded, the Unity runtime is also installed. Also, we believe that an initial install-based fee allows creators to keep the ongoing financial gains from player engagement, unlike a revenue share. Okay, interesting. So simplifying in my head, that just means basically there's a fee the developer has to pay. Every time their game is downloaded, they're paying to Unity. Of course, that would probably turn into developers raising the prices of their games so that the consumer basically becomes the one paying for this runtime fee or this per download fee. Someone who commented on Lemon Party's comment here is saying basically that I'm just surprised it took a full year to reverse the change. Obviously, Unity was trying the hardest they could to get as much money out of this as they could, but it did not work for them. All right, next up. Brandeville Studios staff speak out. Abuse, humiliation, and groveling at one of Indonesia's largest studios. This comes from NMIA Gaming, maybe NMIA Gaming, written by W. Amirul Adlan. Social media is in an uproar as ex-employees of Brandeville Studios, a now defunct art studio, are speaking out about downright toxic work environment, particularly tied to the CEO's wife, Cherry Lai. One employee, Krista, has compiled a document collecting screenshots of internal messages highlighting their particular relationship with Cherry Lai, one of micromanagement and duress. Let me read through this, see if there's any specifics I should report on here. I feel like we're getting kind of all the information we need to know how frustrated we should be, as it's another example of mistreatment in the video game and art industry. But let me read through this a bit more. So the article stated at one point, I'm struggling to find it now, that working there felt more like a cult than a studio. You had to grovel to Mrs. Cherry for approval so that she would stop bullying you. They withheld bonuses. They deducted salary, claiming that it was to recoup on her investment in the talent. They even forced employees to move homes and barred them from contacting their family, smashing an employee's cell phone. All I can say is it's good the studio's defunct now, but these people need to be held accountable for their actions. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Let's hope we get some happy news at some point here. Ooh, this looks interesting. We have a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Unleashed gameplay video. Let's give this a watch. I like this new cartoon style. Oh, this is cool. A little bit more open world feeling, a little bit more traversal than the usual TMNT beat 'em up game. Maybe not like open world, maybe more like exploration game. This looks like a lot of fun. I've always enjoyed TMNT games that I've played in the past. I haven't played a lot of the newer ones though, so I'd be curious to try this one out. I think I'd enjoy it a lot. Okie doke. Microsoft has instructed Xbox social media accounts to go dark today amid the layoffs. It's to avoid a repeat of Feel the Burn Xbox controller announcement during the last layoffs. Hopefully there'll be more posts about this so I can go a little bit more in depth into the Xbox layoffs. It's news I haven't had a chance to dive into myself yet, so I'd really like to learn more about it. But that's interesting that they're just like, don't react on social media today. We don't want to make another misstep where we're announcing something like a Feel the Burn controller while we're firing a bunch of people. They really had a post that said Feel the Burn today with the Fire Vapor Special Edition controller while they were firing a bunch of people. Wow. All right. IGN continuing their Dragon Age the Veilguard promotion with apparently a first hands-on preview. I don't think I'm going to watch this full video. We've gone over a lot of the Dragon Age stuff already. I'm just going to click on this, see how long the video is, and see if it's worth talking about here or not. Okay, this is a 13-minute video. If it's something you want to watch, definitely come check it out for yourself. I feel like if you are a Dragon Age fan, you're probably already watching this. Unless you don't want any spoilers, then you're probably avoiding all these videos anyway. All right, next off. Microsoft layoff another 650 staff from its video game workforce. Xbox Phil Spencer sends memo to staff. Okay, here we go. 650 people. You buy all these studios and then you just start laying people off. This is an article coming from IGN written by Wesley Yin-Poole. Microsoft is laying off a further 650 staff from its gaming business, according to a memo sent by Xbox chief Phil Spencer to staff today, September 12th, and obtained by IGN. So this was yesterday. In the memo, Spencer said the roles affect mostly corporate and support functions and were made to organize our business for long-term success. That's what they all say. He clarified that no games, devices, or experiences are being canceled and no studios are being closed as part of these cuts. The latest layoffs mean Microsoft has let go of 2,550 staff from its gaming business since acquiring Activision Blizzard for $69 billion in 2023. In his memo below, Spencer makes it clear that the cuts are related to the acquisition. All right, let's read the memo. For the past year, our goal has been to minimize disruption while welcoming new teams and enabling them to do their best work. As part of aligning our post-acquisition team structure and managing our business, we have made the decision to eliminate approximately 650 roles across Microsoft Gaming, mostly corporate and supporting functions to organize our business for long-term success. I know that this is difficult news to hear. We are deeply grateful for the contributions of our colleagues who are learning they are impacted. In the US, we're supporting them with exact packages, and that includes severance, extended healthcare, and outplacement services to help with their transition. Outside the US, packages will differ according to location, so there's people from around the world. Oh man. With these changes, our corporate and supporting teams and resources are aligned for sustainable future growth and can better support our studio teams and business units with programs and resources that can scale to meet their needs. Separately, as part of running the business, there are some impacts to our teams as they adapt to shifting priorities and manage the life cycle and performance of games. No games devices are canceling, studios are not being closed. We know that already. Throughout the team's history, we have had great moments. We have had challenging ones. Today is one of the challenging days. I know that going through more changes like this is hard, but even in the most trying times, this team has been able to come together and show one another care and kindness as we work to continue delivering for our players. We appreciate your support as we navigate these changes, and we thank you for compassion and respect for each other. The only thing I can see is when they acquired Activision Blizzard, there might have been a couple of overlaps in positions where Xbox already had people doing jobs that existed at Activision Blizzard, and that is possibly why the layoffs are happening on the sort of business and support side of things, because they were business and support positions that already existed at Xbox. But what was it? 2,500 people losing their jobs in a year from one company. One company laying off 2,500 people over 1 year. I want to see what some of the comments are saying. From Rage Like Nick Cage, I'm getting really tired of mega mergers telling the FTC there's not going to be mass layoffs if the merger goes through, and then face zero repercussions when that blatant lie is proven to be a lie. Happens with a Disney Fox, with a Sprint T-Mobile, and will continue to happen with every single merger that goes through. I didn't pay that close of attention to all of the legal stuff that happened while the merger was happening, so I didn't even realize that's part of one of the things that they're like, yeah, no, the merger's totally gonna be fine. Thousands of people are not going to lose their jobs, and then they do lose their jobs, and yeah, no repercussions for that is not great. Okay, well, at least we got to hear more news about what's going on there. I really hope, I mentioned it in my last video, but I do believe layoffs like this in the video game industry are a cycle where there's kind of ups and downs. That's just from me kind of being around it the past, decade or so. I just hope, it just feels like we're in a really low down right now, and I want to see the upturn happen soon. Okey-doke. I'm keep scrolling a little bit here. All right, next up, Tony Hawk claims he is talking to Activision again. This comes from VideoGameChronicle.com, written by Jordan Midler. I actually saw this interview on Mythical Kitchen, but speaking on Mythical Kitchen, the legendary skater said that there is something planned for the anniversary, but wouldn't be drawn on specifics. I wish I could tell you more, but I can tell you that I've been talking to Activision again, and we're working on something. It will be something that fans will truly appreciate. After that, it kind of goes into talking about the re-release of 1 and 2, and then Vicious Visions got absorbed into Activision, and so they weren't able to get 3 and 4 out, even though that was kind of the plan. But, I guess, talking about Activision being with Microsoft now, maybe there is a little bit more stability on like the game development side of things, so we'll have to wait and see what that means for Tony Hawk Pro Skater in the future. Okay, I'm gonna kind of go through some of these other news stories from the past couple days, hopefully a little bit quicker. I see one here for Tales of the Shire being launched early in 2025, so that's pretty soon. Early could mean March 2025, but only a few months away, 6 months or so away for those who are excited about Tales of the Shire. European Consumer Organization denounced video games' manipulative spending tactics. Today, BEUC and 22 member organizations from 17 countries submit a complaint to EU authorities on the unfair practices of leading video game companies behind games such as Fortnite, EU Sports FC 24, Minecraft, and Clash of Clans. The European Consumer Organization is attacking gacha games. They're attacking gacha games. This is a press release from 12/9/2024, written by Sandra Lima. That's interesting. We'll have to see if there's any result to that. Let's see, anything else? There was a new trailer from Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. I did hear a little bit something about how there is a sword mode or something like that, where there is a way for Zelda to have a sword and a shield, I believe, too. She kind of goes into Link mode, and so that's kind of interesting. I thought it was going to be completely non-combat game, but it will still have a little bit of combat. We'll maybe watch this trailer at the end of the video, possibly. All right, scrolling just a little bit more here, see if there's any other stories from the last few days worth talking about. After asking 80 employees to resign voluntarily, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius developer turns around financial deficit for the first time in over a year. Interesting. They asked them to resign voluntarily, and it did actually help them turn their deficit around. This comes from Automaton Media, written by Amber V. Japanese developer Gumi, known for titles such as Aster Tadoricus and Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, announced a significant increase in sales and operating profit in the last fiscal quarter. This has turned around a deficit for the company has been facing for the past 5 quarters. To deal with the financial losses, the company announced changes in its development policy as well as workforce downsizing. This included laying off staff in overseas offices as well as offering buyouts to staff in Japan, where mass layoffs are not possible due to labor laws. Interesting. Gumi offered beneficial retirement packages and outplacement support to employees who volunteered to resign. Oh, I see. So they couldn't fire anybody, or they couldn't fire a large number of people. So that's why they had to ask if they would resign. I mean, I guess that is kind of a better way to do it. At least you have to offer money or support or packages to get people to resign on their own so they feel better about it, I guess. Let's scroll a little bit more here. See if there's any other things worth talking about. Definitely a lot of trailers on r/games right now. Definitely things worth checking out if you're interested in seeing those games. There's more news about the Ubisoft investor that wants to dethrone Ubisoft's founders so specifically that they can lay off developers. They want to fire people at Ubisoft. That public letter that was released basically saying that they want Ubisoft to go private so that they can fire people. GameStop Q2 sales are down 45% as more stores close down. Final preview for Dragon Quest III HD 2D Remake. More trailers, more Dragon Age Veilguard, more Payday 3, more Palworld. I think I've done the best I could to cover everything I might have missed, as well as all the biggest news stories that are happening right now. So that's gonna do it for me today. Thank you so much for watching my video. If you are someone who wants to stay up to date on everything going on in the world of video games, please subscribe to my channel, hit the bell so that you're notified when I upload a new video. I'm BTayOkay. This was September 13th, 2024 on r/games. See you tomorrow.